how to navigate dating as a gay man in the age and era of social media. Hey guys, Michael Pizzulo here, psychotherapist in West Hollywood. So a common complaint in both the gay and straight communities when it comes to dating is social media. A lot of people feel kind of, hijacked by it, frustrated by it. So I want to give you, as a therapist, a few tips on how you can navigate this terrain in a way that's effective and realistic. So the first thing I would say is I think you do need some presence. I know these days some people are going social media free and they're doing a detox, or they just don't have a presence at all. That is completely fine, and honestly probably something a lot of us should do. But if you're dating, I do think that if you want to be successful, having a social media presence is important, because a lot of dating these days is going to be on apps, as we all know, and a lot of people are going to want to cross-reference, your social media accounts. So if you connect with them on Grindr, they're going to want to see your Instagram. And I know that might sound like kind of a pain, but I do think there is some validity to that, just in terms of safety and verifying your identity. So, and of course, they may just be looking for other pictures of you to make sure that you're not just sending them your best. We'll get to that. But I do think that there is a safety component to it. So if you don't have a social media presence, you can still go out and date, but I do think you might be limiting yourself. So my advice is just have some presence. It doesn't have to be super active, but active enough that it makes it look like you are a real human being and not something that they might just kind of be a little suspicious of and, swipe away from. The next thing is protecting your authenticity. So obviously on social media, we present a version of ourselves, it's pretty obvious, and we're gonna choose like our better pictures, more flattering photos, videos, whatever, all that's fine. But I do think it's important that whatever you're presenting on social media, even if it is your best, it is you. It does capture your personality. And with that being said, of course, we're all gonna pick our best pictures and best angles and whatnot, and that's human, but you don't want to pick anything that's misleading or doesn't look quite like you. But even just in terms of the personality that you convey, I don't like, hiking and, or extreme outdoor activities. So I'm not going to create a profile that presents me doing things like that, because it will sort of suggest that I'm a person that I'm not. So I would say whatever you choose, up to you, but just make sure it is you. Make sure it is authentic in some way, so that when they do meet you, there isn't some sort of incongruence or discrepancy that throws them off. Because I think that can lead to folks being turned off or a little bit confused, or just, I don't know, it could give them a little sense of doubt that might make them want to just go into the next person. So the next thing I would say, number 3, is that your relationship to social media is actually very telling and can be very useful. Social media, I would think of it as like a projective tool, and what you experience actually says a lot about you, and you can use that to work on yourself. So for example, if you open up Instagram and you're scrolling through your feed, you can have a myriad of reactions, right? It could be, oh, look at this, there's so many cool things to do in my city and people out there, I can't wait to go meet them. Or it could be like, oh my God, everyone looks like they're having so much fun, they're also good looking and they have money and this, and I feel inferior. Runs the gamut, right? But the reaction that you have to the content actually does say a lot about you, and you can use that too. You'll find that people who are dealing with insecurity, when they open up their accounts, they have some sort of insecure reaction to what they're seeing. They feel less than in some way. And it doesn't really matter what they're seeing, they find a way to compare themselves to it and find some sort of data point that suggests that they're less than. And conversely, people who are pretty confident and pretty happy with themselves have kind of a neutral reaction to most things. Maybe they feel a little bit envious and jealous sometimes as well. We're all human, but I see someone on a yacht and I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. I don't have $1 billion or something to that effect. But someone who has confidence, a gay man who has confidence, is not gonna immediately spiral into some sort of compare and despair dynamic. So again, whatever reaction you have to social media actually can be useful, and it can be a way to learn about yourself. Which leads me into the next thing, the fourth thing, which is think about, what are you hiding? I feel like all of us, even if, I'm not like a secret agent hiding a, whole covert life, but oftentimes I feel like folks do have aspects of themselves that they go out of their way to actually conceal or hide in their digital profiles. And they may not be totally aware of it, so you might kind of have to do an audit and look through and see. But again, I think this can be a way to really learn about yourself, because it's probably a part of you that you don't like, or that you are wrestling with or insecure about, and so you're going out of your way to make sure it doesn't show up, consciously or unconsciously, which again can be something important to think about for you, because that may be some work that you want to do on yourself. And social media may almost be like a mirror that shows you what you need to work on. So I think it can actually be quite useful in that sense. They used to have, like, back in the day in psychology, they would do psychoanalysis. They would have these like tests with ink blots. They would ask you, like, what do you see in it? And it was sort of the idea is that whatever you see is something that's coming from you, and it's about you, and so on and so forth. You can think of social media that way. If it really is a projective tool, and consider, what am I projecting? What am I experiencing, rather than just getting lost in the actual content. And the last thing I would say, the fifth thing, is when it comes to gay dating and social media, make it work for you. I think it's easy to get a little defeated and just feel like, this era, this day and age, it's so frustrating. I don't want to be on all these apps, da 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 da. And there's always going to be some frustration to the terrain that we're operating in. But I think what you want to do is make it work for you, so you don't feel like you're a victim to it. And I think that's important, because if you start to develop a pessimistic mindset about the whole experience, that's really gonna bleed through. And it's gonna bleed through in terms of, the guys that you end up connecting with, the content that you put out of yourself, the people that you meet. It's just gonna become like almost like a spell that you fall under that's really gonna taint the experience that you're having. So I'd really encourage you to find like a winner's mindset, a positive mindset of, this is just sort of how the world works right now. That may change, but this is how it is, and I'm gonna make it successful for me, so that I have a good time and I'm able to be, get to my end goal, which, it might be dating, relationship, marriage, kids, who knows. But I think it's important that you find a way to make it work for you, and that your mindset is somewhat positive about the experience. So that is it. Let me know what you guys think. If you are a gay man and you have wrestled with social media, I think pretty much all of us have at this point, how you have found it useful, not useful, ways you've adapted to it. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this type of content, please subscribe, like this video, share it. And if you want to connect with me directly, I'll put a link in the description, and you can reach out to me for a consult call if you want to talk about coaching, therapy, mental health work, any of the above. Just let me know. So thanks, guys.